Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and today we are going to be talking about when Nintendo may finally admit that the rumored Nintendo Switch 2 exists. This console has been rumored for such a long time. Latest reports are indicating that it will be coming out by early 2025, so if these reports are true, we are certainly less than a year away from the release of this console, and you have to think that at some point this year, Nintendo will at least admit that the console exists. We're not even talking about a big reveal or presentation or even a trailer. Just a Nintendo executive confirming that a new console, the successor to the Switch, is about to come out. When might that day come? Well, that's what I would like to focus on this time. But before going forward, let me point out that we are aiming for a goal of 50,000 subscribers, so if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now, for those out there that personally doubt the existence of the successor of the Switch, please keep in mind that Nintendo, and most game companies in general, are always focusing on research and development for their next big projects. And Nintendo has already acknowledged this. They are obviously working on the future. But we actually have not just legal evidence, but legal proof that the successor to the Switch is in the works. During the Microsoft v. FTC case, we saw a lot of different things come out that perhaps we would not have seen otherwise, including an email from Bobby Kotick of Activision where NG Switch is referenced, Next Generation Switch. So there's already public legal documentation out there that confirms the existence of this console, but Nintendo themselves have yet to confirm and admit it. And I do find this to be a curious situation. In part because this year of 2024 feels eerily familiar to 2016. So if you go back to the beginning of 2016, there were many reports from credible sites and venues saying that the plan was for Nintendo Switch to launch holiday 2016. Back then we just knew it as the NX. And going into 2024 this year, many sites and venues were reporting that the console would be coming out holiday 2024. But then a couple months into the year, all of a sudden the tune changed, more information presented itself, and then all these sites started reporting that Nintendo has internally delayed the console. Back in 2016, it was to early 2017, and for this year of 2024, it was supposedly delayed to early 2025. Of course, all these reports, they may be coming from credible places like Nikkei and Bloomberg. It's subject to change, it's still technically a rumor, maybe something else will happen. But things are going in a very similar way. So if this were to be the case, then the expectation is that Nintendo might be admitting the existence of the Switch 2 really soon. Because back in 2016, on April 27th, Nintendo announced the release date for the Nintendo NX. So perhaps in this month of April, we might be getting some sort of similar confirmation. I do think this makes some sense. We do have Nintendo's next big earnings release event coming on May 7th, so we're going to be hearing from Nintendo what they have to say to their investors upon the year, and there will certainly be some questions on their next console, so we may see confirmation of their next console before this event or during this event. And to be clear, when I'm talking about confirmation of existence, I'm not talking about a reveal trailer or a presentation where we see a whole bunch of footage and promotional material for the console. Just a quote from a Nintendo executive admitting its existence or some sort of social media post. That's what I'm talking about here for this video. But I will say that the originator for the report of the Switch 2 delay is Brazil, and they have said that there's supposed to be a Switch 2 reveal in June. Now, when I see the word reveal, to me that goes beyond just something said by a Nintendo executive, but actually like a trailer or some type of presentation showcasing the console. Now, of course, that is a rumor, take it with a grain of salt, but I do think it does make some sense to think that Nintendo could have some sort of influx of major Nintendo information in June, because that's what they typically do. However, this year hasn't been normal, because normally we would have gone a major Nintendo Direct, and all we've gone is a partner showcase. Now, it is also rumored that a Direct for Switch is happening this April. We shall see. But something I find very curious about these circumstances is that while there are similarities to 2016, there is one big key difference. Nintendo actually confirmed the existence of their next generation console well before its release. We were talking about the codename NX back in March of 2015. So Nintendo had already admitted the existence of their next console 2 years early. And yet here we are, and Nintendo hasn't done the same. So does that mean that the reports are likely wrong and that Switch 2 is not coming out until 2026? No, because if we look throughout history, the moment between when Nintendo announces a codename versus actual release varies quite a bit. And I would even argue that there is a strong chance that we won't even be seeing a codename announcement for the Switch 2 this time around. I think a lot of this comes down to the circumstance of Nintendo. This is the modern era, they operate differently, but also if we go back to the Wii U era, Nintendo was struggling quite a bit. The 3DS was doing okay, but the Wii U was dead in its tracks. There were barely games coming out, significant droughts constantly. Nintendo needed to do something to not only assure investors that there is a promising future, but also to keep their fans somewhat engaged. So announcing things more ahead of time made sense. In this current era, Nintendo is doing incredibly well. We have constant software support. Investors are happy, fans are happy. There isn't a reason to blatantly say, hey guys, I know you're not playing anything right now because we have nothing going on, but we are working something in the future, this is what it's codenamed. They don't need to do that, because things are going well right now, and it can be argued that the sooner Nintendo makes some kind of announcement, it could impact their sales. That all said, the announcement does need to happen eventually. They can't just pretend it doesn't exist forever, they need to move forward. And Switch sales have been trending down year by year. We are getting to the point where Nintendo does need to transition over, and the amount of sales they might lose would be kind of negligible, because most people that would buy a Switch because it's the only thing that's known from Nintendo were kind of at that point of saturation. Nintendo's getting to a point where they could finally have a price cut for their lineup of Switch systems and start appealing to an audience that they weren't going to get to beforehand. Bring Switch down to a price point where the kind of people that will be buying the consoles aren't the kind of people that are going to be interested in buying a more expensive, new $350, $400 console. Considering how things are shaking out this year, it's seeming like this is the territory Nintendo's about to enter. But they are being as patient as reasonably possible before they finally admit this thing exists. So my prediction in terms of when I think this console is going to be announced, well, I think there's a fantastic chance that it is still going to happen sometime in April. If not this month, then early May, in time for that investors meeting. But I do have a suspicion that it will line up somewhat with a big Nintendo Direct. I don't think this rumored Direct is going to have to do with Switch 2 in terms of Switch 2 games or anything like that, but I do think it's going to make sense for Nintendo to showcase their plan for Switch 1 for the rest of the year before they make announcements for Switch 2, so they can leave fans and investors assured that Switch 1 is going to receive support as they go into this transition. So my thinking is maybe we get some sort of indie presentation in the early month of April, and then a little bit later, mid-April, we get a bigger Nintendo Direct for Switch 1, and then towards the end of April, if not then early May, we finally have that moment where Nintendo admits the existence of the console, perhaps giving us some sort of release window, be it holiday 2024 or early 2025 or beyond, and they make some additional reference to it or finally admit its existence at the investors meeting on May 7th. And then hopefully the rumor is true and we get some sort of exciting reveal trailer this June. But that is just a rumor. We shall see. But what do you all think? When do you think Nintendo will finally admit the existence of Switch 2? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.